Thank you, Hugh. Good evening once again. And Chelsea were helped out by two academy graduates, Dominic Solanke and Michael Obafemi, since their collapse at Sheffield United at the weekend. But now is the time to take control of their own destiny once again. It'll be tough with both Liverpool and Wolves still to come in the Premier League, but surely they won't slip up here tonight against a Norwich team who have lost 7 on the trot and their place in the Premier League. Frank Lampard has made changes following that 3-0 loss at Sheffield United. 5 in total, including 2 in the back 4. Christensen and James dropped to the bench along with Barkley, Mount and Abraham. Rudiger, Alonso, Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic and Giroud are the players who come into the side. Of course, Loftus-Cheek has been working his way back following that long-term injury. This is only his second start on the road back to full fitness. Giroud has 4 in his last 5 games when he started for Chelsea. And Kovacic, another player working his way back from injury. He was a player who was taken off during that defeat at West Ham. So it's Kepa in goal, Azpilicueta, Zuma, Rudiger and Alonso the back 4, Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho and Kovacic in midfield, Willian and Pulisic either side of Giroud. Norwich, of course, rather limped out of the Premier League with that 4-0 loss to West Ham at Carrow Road. 7 successive defeats. 4 changes for them. Vrancic, Stiepermann, Buendia and Pukki, 2 of their most creative talents, all dropped to the bench. Rupp, Cantwell, McLean and Dermot come in. It is Krul in goal, Aarons, Godfrey, Klose and Lewis. Vrancic, McLean and Tete holding midfield. Rupp, Cantwell and Hernandez will be supporting Dermot. Chelsea, wearing all blue, will get the game underway shortly. The 2 captains just meeting in the centre circle. Norwich City in their canary yellow and green. And what is the Norwich mindset coming into this game, David? We talk about what Chelsea need to do, but what can Norwich do to stop them?
Well, look, they've just got to be every man at it, team spirit, energy, drive. They've got to leave everything out on that pitch and go out, if they are going to go out, which they are. Would they try and do it, at least in the final few games with their heads held high? They need a response from the West Ham game because they're absolutely woeful. After the first goal, to me, heads were down, they just gave up.
John Moss is our referee this evening. Of course, he was the VAR for that match between Aston Villa and Crystal Palace at the weekend. Do you think he knows what a shoulder is now? Well, it is Norwich, in fact, who will get the game underway, attacking the Matthew Harding stand away to our right-hand side. And the countdown before kick-off is underway here at Stamford Bridge. Of course, it's usually such a vibrant place at this time, but now it falls silent. And it's Norwich who will start, playing for pride. 3 matches to play in the Premier League. Chelsea focusing firmly on looking to finish in the top 4. Champions League football next season. It is in their own hands, and it will continue to be if they win here tonight. But it's Norwich looking to build in the opening seconds here on TalkSport with a burst from Hernandez down the far side there left. Chelsea will clear, but here is McLean into the feet of Dermot. And Chelsea quickly have bodies over on their right, and it will be cleared away all the way back towards Ben Godfrey. David Conley.
Well, it's a sharp start from Norwich. Certainly they're confident on the ball, moving it quite well. Hernandez looks lively, doesn't he, out on that left-hand side.
And it's Dermot, who has only scored 1 Premier League goal back in October, supported by Cantwell. He almost played it through towards Dermot, but it's broken up well by Kovacic. Chelsea now have it inside the centre circle, but it's quickly given away. Closer into the path of Hernandez, flicked on towards Dermot, but Rudiger tidies up, and his back pass into the path of Kepa is cleared long downfield wide towards the far side. And it does seem that whenever changes occur for Chelsea, they're defensive ones following a defeat, and it's not been settled in that area, but when they perform as they did at Sheffield United, you can see why. Yes,
but you said it. Rudiger, you can keep going. Zuma, Christensen, Tomori, they've all played about 15 plus games each, so he's not settled, he's not happy with that back line. So I think that's a position he'll have to look at in the summer. I thought maybe if Bournemouth go down, he might go back in for Ake, I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see.
It's a goal kick for Chelsea, away to our right. There has been a goal in our commentary game over on TalkSport 2. It is Cardiff 1, Derby 1. Jason Knight, the youngster, has equalised for Derby. Two sides chasing the playoffs. Derby, of course, looking to play catch-up after a couple of poor results in recent times. Cardiff are the side currently to be chased in 6th place. Elsewhere in the Championship, it is still Luton 1, Queen's Park Rangers 0, Millwall 1, Blackburn 0, and Sheffield Wednesday 0, Huddersfield 0. In the 7:45s as Willian comes forward now for Chelsea. It's blocked, and Loftus-Cheek play it wide to the far side looking for Azpilicueta, but it's cleared away initially by Lewis. But Chelsea quickly win it back. Pulisic into the path of Willian. Azpilicueta again. And now Loftus-Cheek takes over. And very quickly Chelsea have Norwich penned back inside their own half. Now Kovacic. Finding Zuma again, and it may turn out to be a game of patience here for Chelsea if they look to break down Norwich initially. Now Azpilicueta, the cross in, the glancing header from Loftus-Cheek ripples the side netting.
Yeah, it's a good move though, Chelsea. Very patient, as you say. Norwich just sat back in. I think they know that they're going to face an awful lot of balls in the box, and that's why they've really struggled defensively. That time, Loftus-Cheek done well, made the box, got across the 6-yard, just headed it wide at the near post. But I'm really looking forward to see this left-hand side. I think Pulisic has been absolutely tremendous. Him and Alonso, and I know defensively he's had a few issues, Alonso, but going forward he can put a brilliant ball into the box. He's the one that will play the highest. Pulisic will operate on the inside, almost like a second centre forward, nice and close to Giroud, and Alonso will provide the width.
Here is Rudiger once again. Had the first half of his season really wrecked by injury, and this is 17th start overall. Zuma with a long ball over the top, and Olivier Giroud doesn't really appreciate that sort of service, and it's into the arms of Tim Krul again. But Norwich stick to their principles rigidly. They play out, and a couple of moments ago they tried to play out with a goal kick, and the two central defenders split inside the penalty area, and they just invite pressure.
Well, they do, I guess, but there's never really any other way for them to play. If they go long up to Jermic or Pukki, you look at that front line, it's tiny, it's just going to keep coming back.
4 minutes played on TalkSport, 0-0 here at Stamford Bridge in the only Premier League game of the evening. Earlier on in the Championship, in the big game at the top, it was goalless between West Brom and Fulham. Middlesbrough with a crucial win at Reading by 2 goals to 1 at the bottom, as Alonso comes forward now, drives a ball right through the 6-yard area beyond both Giroud and Willian. It's recovered at the far post by Azpilicueta, and here's one a throw-in for Chelsea.
Yeah, that's that little link-up I was talking about, Pulisic and Alonso. They've got a great understanding, little give and go, great ball as well along the 6-yard box.
And now space again, deep inside the penalty area for Azpilicueta. The cross is blocked, but here is Loftus-Cheek, who wriggles to the byline, fires it in low, and it's jabbed behind by Closer for a corner.
Well, they just couldn't pick a pass there. Azpilicueta just throws his arm in the air. He was in the 6-yard box just trying to find somebody. I think he's saying to Giroud, I just couldn't see you. That's where they need real precision.
And in the night's other early kick-off in the Championship, Wigan beat Hull by 8 goals to 0. That was football and not rugby league. Willian's corner into the near post is headed away initially, but Chelsea will quickly recover. Here is Jorginho, wide towards Willian, but it's a poor ball and Norwich will cut it out. Can they get the bodies forward now to break? It's pinged by McLean up towards Cantwell, but Willian gets there first, and Cantwell just nibbles away at his heels and concedes the free kick. Well,
that's interesting, because they got Jorginho as the deepest one for corners, which means, you know, if a team does break, you wouldn't say he's necessarily blessed with a lot of pace, Jorginho. Obviously they like to send the two centre halves up, and they are very, very quick, so I guess there's a dearth of options for Frank, certainly a pace at the back if the centre halves go up.
Rudiger's high ball forward, nodded down by Giroud on the edge of the penalty area. Loftus-Cheek looks to fasten onto it, but Tete will break things up for Norwich again. Frank Lampard wanders out towards the edge of his technical area to our left as he watches Norwich try and clear, but it's quickly returned towards Pulisic. But good play by Aarons to initially pick his pocket, and they play the ball inside for McLean. Dermot on the halfway line, lays it into the path of Lewis. He's got Hernandez in support as Norwich now look to go forward. Lewis has gone beyond Azpilicueta initially, but the cross was blocked and it's gathered by Jorginho.
You know, it's a nice little move, but a lovely pass from McLean into Jermich. Good little set out wide to Lewis. Good defending though from Azpilicueta, just blocking the cross.
6 minutes gone. Goalless here at Stamford Bridge on TalkSport. Willian's cross into the penalty area, blocked again by Klose at the near post, and Chelsea have a throw-in right by the corner flag. They're attacking the shed away to our left in the first half, and it's been typical for Norwich. They're expansive, they're looking to get on the front foot, but when they concede, as it seems inevitably they will, they just retreat into their shell.
Well, if you look at the goals they've conceded, I mean, they're so runnable to movement, to balls in the box, from losing their men, so that's why every opportunity you can see here, Chelsea just trying to put the ball into the box. Might need a little bit more precision though.
As Norwich look to move forward again now, they've already completed a record 5th relegation from the Premier League, and their 3rd one after just a single season. Of course, they were the best side in the Championship last season, and deservedly so. David and myself had a number of very enjoyable days at Carrow Road watching a fantastic team.
Yes, one of them wasn't so enjoyable because I had my keys locked in my car.
Of course,
to get the fire brigade to help me, but apart from that, it went swimmingly.
Let's concentrate on the football.
Yes.
Here is Dermich now on the halfway line for Norwich. They've not won here since 1993. When Chris Sutton scored the winning goal. They enjoyed 3 successive victories at the start of the 1990s, including that infamous winning goal from David Phillips when he mishit a shot from 20 yards and it bobbled through the arms of David Besant to complete a 3-2 victory for Norwich right at the start of the Premier League. But Chelsea are unbeaten in their last 16 meetings with the Canaries, and that's a run going back to December of 1994.
Well, what they're going to have to do is track the runners here. There's so many from deep, especially from the middle of the park. You know, Pulisic playing up alongside Giroud, very narrow. Loftus-Cheek almost playing as a centre forward as well when they've got the ball. You've got the full-backs operating almost as wingers.
Nearly 9 minutes played. 0-0 here at Stamford Bridge on TalkSport. Willian, right-hand side of the penalty area, almost finds the run of Azpilicueta inside, but Norwich will cut it out. And they look to clear with the pace of Lewis, who scored a dramatic late equaliser here for Norwich in the FA Cup a couple of years ago, which for a long time was his only career goal. And it's another dash from him deep into Chelsea territory, but he's halted by Rudiger, and it's back to Kepa wearing light grey, defending the Chelsea goal away to our right hand side. And grey skies overhead. It's not a chilly evening, but it's not especially warm for the middle of July.
Well, you can see the sky. I can't. Well, it's
just a bit over there.
A
yes.
Tiny little opening in this huge stand with a massive roof. Feel like we've climbed the mountain to get up here in the gantry.
We are high at the back of the east stand here at Stamford Bridge. We have a wonderful panoramic view of the stadium and the pitch laid out beneath us as Chelsea look to build on this left-hand side again. Alonso's one of throwing. Kovacic treads on the ball. Dermich wins it back. Rupp will try and bring it forward, and he and Loftus-Cheek have a collision, both lunging in midway inside the Norwich half. And whenever Loftus-Cheek writhes in agony, you always fear for him after his recent injury record.
Yeah, I mean, but when he's on it, I saw him here against West Ham and he was absolutely amazing against Declan Rice, and obviously he's got that invention against Palace we saw with a little assist for Abraham. What a player, very talented, very, very talented, just needs to stay fit. But I was looking at Chelsea in the warm-up, you know, and they had the front three, the midfield three, all going through their routine, how to score goals, whatever. I looked at all the defenders and they were just knocking balls aimless to each other. Nothing really worked on in terms of defensively. All about with the ball, you know, possession with the ball. How are we going to break teams down? And I think they just need to do a little bit more in their defensive work.
Kovacic looks to be expansive here with the ball in towards Azpilicueta. It was a good cross as well towards the near post, and Godfrey with an excellent challenge to deny Giroud, and Giroud limps away towards the edge of the penalty area following that. Now Chelsea move forward again now with Zuma on this near side, finding Alonso, but he's shown far too much of that to Lucas Rupp. And Norwich will clear, and you used that word precision a few moments ago about Chelsea's passing, and it's not quite been there.
No, you're right, and the touch isn't quite there. You know, it's got away from a couple of players that they're a little bit loose. And to be honest, look, you can't read too much into the warm-up, but it looked a little bit flat, and, you know, as a co-commentator, you like looking at these things, how they prepare. Look, they're very young staff, aren't they, Frank? Jody Morris, Joe Edwards, very young, learning on the job. doing it well, but obviously learning every day, every week about their players.
11 minutes played on TalkSport. More Premier League action coming up tomorrow night. 2 commentaries at 6 o'clock. Newcastle against Spurs here on TalkSport, and it's Burnley against Wolves on TalkSport 2. The chase for Europe continues. It's all about the Champions League here for Chelsea, as Pulisic looks to deliver a cross down the right-hand side, but he's challenged by the Cuban Hernandez, and the final touch was off Pulisic, and it will be a goal kick for Norwich. And on Thursday night, there's another big commentary from the Championship at 5 o'clock on TalkSport 2. It's Leeds against Barnsley. Leeds at the moment need 4 more points to complete their return to the Premier League. The top of the Championship following the draw between West Brom and Fulham tonight. Leeds 84, West Brom 82, Brentford 78. They play tomorrow at home to Preston, and Fulham 77.
Well, there was an example there of that precision, the passing. Azpilicueta and Willian, little 1-2, but the ball too much on it. Wait, but at least Azpilicueta is playing right back. I mean, I saw him against West Ham, he played left back, and it was dreadful. They had no out ball. Obviously, he's not a natural left footer, so everything was going back inside. Alonso left out for a few games, but at least they got some natural width out on this left. Because you've got to remember, Pulisic will always come in field, so there's not a lot of balance. There's no natural lefty on Chelsea's left.
13 minutes played. Chelsea 0, Norwich 0 in the Premier League on TalkSport. And you're listening to this game with Now TV. Only play for the games that matter to you with a Now TV Sky Sports Pass from just $9.99. Search Now TV. Alonso again looking to come inside from the left. Here is Zuma. And now Loftus-Cheek, who made a great burst from midfield a few moments ago, but he wasn't spotted. Rudiger play it wide to Azpilicueta. Here is Jorginho inside the area, back to Willian down the Chelsea right. Now Loftus-Cheek arriving on the edge of the box into Giroud. Look to lay it back towards Loftus-Cheek. It's cleared away by Tete. Now lofted over the top by Zuma towards this near side, but beyond Alonso, and it will be a throw into Norwich.
Yeah, Zuma's got to do a bit better. That's 2 passes now, one to Alonso, one before that to Giroud, trying to be a bit too clever, flighting it. Ball's coming off the grass. I think if I was him, I'd just be trying to keep it simple. Find someone quickly, pass it along the ground. I mean, I was lucky I was at the Amex to see Man City and how quickly they moved the ball, how easily they went from side to side, just opened the whole pitch out. Maybe the template that Frank's trying to get to.
Cantwell does well to ride a couple of challenges. Here is Dermich, and it's wide to the wide open spaces on the far side, the left. Now Lewis moving forward for Norwich again. He will take on Willian, and he's gone beyond him, delivers the cross into the area. Cantwell was almost on the end of it. Here now is Aarons down the right, a high lofted ball into the penalty area. Azpilicueta will rise unchallenged to clear. It's regathered by Tete, and now Rupp and Godfrey plays it wide to the right, and Aarons. Both of the Norwich fullbacks delivering good crosses into the penalty area there, but not the presence on the end of them.
No, I mean, that's the difference. You saw Sheffield United do that. One wing back delivering one ball, the other one then getting on the end of it. Yeah, Norwich are 2 fullbacks, very, very high. But they don't really have an aerial presence, do they, I guess? And when it did pop out to Aarons, he tried to pick out McLean, just went over his head, and he's the one maybe making a sort of late run in the box. It might get on the end of something in the air.
Dermich looks to hold the ball up, but he's given the ball away. Here is Willian now, who charges forward, looks inside, and then throws up his arms due to the lack of options. But here is Alonso galloping forward down the Chelsea left. Has support from Pulisic. Now Kovacic, though, was just held up by McLean. Jorginho plays it into the area looking for Pulisic, and there was a collision there between Pulisic and Godfrey. Pulisic has stayed down, and the shot is fired in by Alonso, but it was sliced wide of the near post.
Yeah, a little give and go here. They stayed with their run as well here, Norwich. Track their man. There's a little bit of a high boot, wasn't it, from Godfrey, but Pulisic seems okay. But again, every time it comes out to Alonso, I mean, he's the widest man. He's got nothing on the outside. He's often in about 10-15 yards of space. Everyone's in field for him.
It's half-time at Kenilworth Road in the Championship. Luton lead Queen's Park Rangers by a 1-0, and it's also still 1-1 in our commentary game on TalkSport 2 between Cardiff and Derby with Ian Danta and Sam Parkin. It's Tim Krul clears downfield, and Norwich have gone beyond the opening 16 minutes here, and it's still goalless, and it's not been chanceless for Chelsea, but Norwich have given as good as they're getting so far. Now Jorginho sprays it wide to the left again, and Alonso. Jorginho takes over. And Norwich's defensive shape has been good.
Yeah, it has. It's basically a 4-5-1, and they've got the wide men Cantwell out on this side. He's taking Alonso. Orange is in narrow because that's where Pulisic is playing. Same on the other side. Lewis is in on Willian, who's inside, very, very narrow.
Now a high ball in looking for Alonso, and the flag has stayed down as he looks to head the ball in field. It's won back by Kovacic as Norwich clear, but then Kovacic uses a hand, and Norwich have a free kick. 17 and a half minutes played, 0-0 here at Stamford Bridge, and in the bigger stadiums in the Premier League, the atmosphere seems ever more eerie on nights like tonight.
Well, it's so impressive though, isn't it, when you come in. Took a little video, sent it to my son, and he's like, wow, that is impressive, and it is. But can we hear the players a little bit more? I don't know. Has Frank got something out of them? Can we hear more of them, a bit more vocal? Maybe, possibly.
The Norwich team have been more vocal so far.
Maybe.
Here is Hernandez now, down the left for them. He's a good, strong runner, but he just runs into traffic, and Loftus-Cheek will bring the ball away. Now Jorginho, and Azpilicueta will play the ball across the penalty area. Todd Cantwell thought about the high press, but then withdraws. And Cantwell has dispensed with the corner-rows we saw adorning the top of his head on Saturday. He's gone back to the lockdown mullet today, as Chelsea try and build with Azpilicueta on the far side. But they're having to work hard here to try and break Norwich down. Rudiger drives it wide to the left, and Alonso quickly on to Pulisic. Godfrey has followed him outside the penalty area. We can hear Alonso now appealing for a free kick as he goes down, following the challenge by Cantwell, but nothing given by John Moss. Of course, John Moss and Martin Atkinson were the officials involved in that disallowed goal for Crystal Palace at Villa Park at the weekend, and Martin Atkinson is the VAR in Stockley Park this evening.
Well, just looking at Rudiger, he gave another really poor misplaced pass. Both centre-halves now, I think they've given the ball away 3 times. Probably half the time they've had it, and that is not the start that Frank would have wanted here, obviously, especially after results of Leicester and Man U. Wanted a fast start here, quick start, full of quality, but haven't really seen that so far.
Well, they're facing a Norwich team who've scored 2 goals in their previous 11 games. And you can see why Norwich have impressed people. I mean, we've seen it on so many occasions. Some of the football is very good. It's clearly worked on, and they clearly have a method, but it's whenever they get forward. And here is Giroud now looking to break his way into the penalty area, and he muscled beyond Godfrey, but the shot lacked the power to beat Krul.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why they are where they are. Muscle past Godfrey. He's got to be stronger, the 2 centre-halves. I mean, Giroud just bullies him out of it. It's a weak header back, but actually the finish from Giroud's, it's a bit tame in the end. Could have made more of that. I think he just tried a little lob over Krul. He's had a good season, I think, out of all the players. I know he's let in a lot of goals, but he's also faced so many shots.
Half-time in our commentary game over on Talk Sport 2. It's 1-1 between Cardiff and Derby in South Wales. And if you want updates on all of the games in the Championship going on, then Talk Sport 2 is the place to go. And if you download the Talk Sport app, then you can flip between this commentary and also the commentary going on from the Championship, where there are so many big games to come up between now and the end of the regular season, which is next Wednesday.
Well, they just need some more dynamic movements here, Chelsea. A bit too static. Get that ball moving much, much quicker. I mean, the 2 centre-halves have passed the ball to each other about 3 times now, probably going to go back again. Look, there's number 4 in their own half. Too often, one of them carry the ball into the other half. They don't need to pass the responsibility on.
21 minutes played, Chelsea 0, Norwich 0, as Dermich again comes back to win a loose ball from the Chelsea midfield, finding Godfrey on the edge of his own penalty area. Now Aarons, who is quickly closed down by Pulisic, but he's done well to not panic and find Godfrey. Here is Cantwell, who shrugs off Alonso on this near side, hurdles the challenge of Jorginho, and Cantwell, due to his hard work there, has won the free kick for the initial challenge by Alonso.
Well, it's a super bit of skill, wasn't it? How he just let the ball run across his body, sucked Alonso in, went on the touchline, just tried a little lift then, and has won a free kick. But again, that came from a loose pass, that time Willian, and it's spreading for Chelsea.
Zuma from the free kick wins the header. Now Alonso clips it down the line, but Norwich again win it back inside Chelsea territory. Teti, though, with a poor ball forward. Jorginho's able to slide in and win it back before it gets to Dermich. And here is Jorginho again, wide towards Azpilicueta, and Norwich have to try and shuffle across quickly to their left-hand side to nullify the danger of Willian. And once again, Chelsea have their two central defenders shuttling the ball between them, looking to invite the press, but they know it will never come.
Well, they probably had the most passes, those two centre-halves. Zuma and Rudiger to each other. A lot of passes in their own half, not enough in the opposition.
And we're approaching the first drinks break as Chelsea play a ball into the penalty area. Godfrey's header didn't really get the job done. It sliced across the face of his own penalty area, but Norwich will clear. Here is Cantwell into the experienced Teti. He's quickly challenged by Jorginho, and Norwich find themselves under pressure again until it heads back to Tim Krul.
Well, to me, this is where they should be pressing the life out of Norwich, trying to force an error in their own half. Exactly. I mean, the tempo that West Ham had and the intensity, that's what Chelsea should be looking for. Instead here, they're just allowing the likes of Godfrey to carry the ball. They're sitting off. They should be hunting these down in packs.
Now, a free kick has been given to Norwich for a challenge by Pulisic, but before it happens, we will head towards this near side for a drinks break. Not an especially warm evening, but players from both sides will now take on fluid here on Talk Sport. It's Chelsea 0, Norwich 0. A reminder, tomorrow night we have a choice of listening at 6 o'clock. Newcastle against Spurs with Sam Matterface and Danny Mills at 6 o'clock over on Talk Sport 2. A big game now in the chase for European places. Burnley against Wolves with Mark Wilson and Mickey Gray. On Thursday night, it is Leeds against Barnsley. Leeds could move within a point of the Premier League if they win that game. And then on Friday night, it is West Ham against Watford. If there's a winner in that game, they will surely seal survival.
How's your sign language, Nigel? Just looking at Frank and his arm movements, what he's trying to get out. I mean, he's trying to put narrow and wide and maybe a bit quicker, those sorts of motions. He's taking his jacket off, maybe he means business. He's got his t-shirt on now.
It's all a bit languid, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It has a feeling of end of season testimonial, and really this should be so intense, it's just not there. It really isn't. The tempo, the intensity to their play, the bite, whether it's in the challenge, in the tackle, the speed of the pass, the touch, the control, the movements. It needs to be much more dynamic.
David Connolly and Nigel Adderley talking you through the action here on Talk Sport at Stamford Bridge, and the former Chelsea defender Glenn Johnson will be alongside Laura Woods on the Sports Breakfast tomorrow morning, looking back on this game and also looking ahead to another big night in the Premier League. And the situation around the European places, underneath the top two, Chelsea are third on 60 points, then it's Leicester on 59, Manchester United on 59, Wolves on 55 and Sheffield United on 54. Manchester United away to Crystal Palace later this week. As we've said, Wolves are at Burnley live on TalkSport 2 tomorrow, and there's a huge game coming up between Leicester and Sheffield United. Everyone said that Wolves and Sheffield United were out of it when Manchester City got their decision, but if results go their way, they could be right back in it again. As Chelsea look to build patiently with Zuma, finding Rudiger. Now it's wide to the far side again, and Azpilicueta. Currently Chelsea 0, Norwich 0. For the latest odds, head to the Betfair Exchange, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage. Right now you can get Chelsea at 1.21, Norwich at 20, and the draw is 7.2. All thanks to the Betfair Exchange. More ways to bet, more ways to win. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. It breaks down again for Chelsea, but Dermich was very much the lone striker there as he looked to bear down on goal and he runs out of options, and he gives away the ball as well. Here is Jorginho for Chelsea, inside the centre circle, wide towards Willian. Azpilicueta on the overlap. Loftus-Cheek also in attendance, but here is Jorginho finding Zuma, and the Chelsea central defender does commit, and it's a good ball from Zuma, finding Alonso, cut back towards Pulisic, and his low ball towards the near post again only finds the side netting.
Well, that's a lot better though from Zuma, travelling into the Norwich half, just trying to commit a player or two, drawing a couple towards him, then releasing Alonso on the outside. Good cutback ball. It's a decent strike, but missed at the near post. But maybe that's what Frank has said, you know, look, one of you two centre-halves has got to travel with the ball, it's got to get into the other half. And can we play forward a little bit quicker?
More half-times in the Championship. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Huddersfield 0, and it's also Millwall 1, Blackburn 0. Earlier on today, 0-0 between West Brom and Fulham, second against fourth. Middlesbrough picked up a crucial victory coming from behind to win 2-1 at Reading, and Wigan overwhelmed Hull to win by 8-0. That's a club record for them. It was 7-0 at half-time. Hull are deep in trouble, and Wigan are getting pretty close to cancelling out their 12-point deduction in terms of safety above the bottom three. Here is Loftus-Cheek for Chelsea, finding Jorginho. And Tim Krul has not had a shot to save so far, and we've played 28 minutes. Now Rudiger, again, he strides forward and then looks ahead and says, where are the options? Where is the movement? And it's been fairly static from Chelsea in key areas.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the two centre-halves, as we knew, you know, they're going to have time on the ball, but it's not what they do with it. Another misplaced pass from Zuma.
Cantwell's back heel in field, almost finds Rupp. Challenged by Kovacic. Norwich want a free kick, but nothing given by John Moss. And here is Kovacic once again.
Well, you might as well, to me, split the two centre-halves really, really wide, drop Kovacic in between them or on the outside of them, and get Chelsea playing from the back.
Low ball driven in by Azpilicueta on the right-hand side, looking for Loftus-Cheek, but it's cleared away by Jamal Lewis. And here is Jorginho once again. Ross Barkley and Mason Mount both dropped to the bench for this game as a ball's cut back towards Giroud, and he had an opportunity there to test Tim Krul, but he got the shot all wrong and it's sliced harmlessly wide.
Well, it's unlucky. I mean, this is the second time really that Chelsea have cut in between, in behind the two fullbacks. That time Kovacic, lovely diagonal little pass all along the grass to Azpilicueta, terrific cutback cross. There's Giroud, it's on his right peg. If that was on his left, you know, he'd have a chance of scoring. He's on his right foot, leaning back, he went over the bar. A disappointing attempt from him, but the build-up play was much better.
Norwich play out again. They've played themselves into trouble. Here is Loftus-Cheek, 25 yards from goal in the central area, forward towards Pulisic, who's given the room to turn and attack the penalty area. He then goes down and he collided with Tim Klose. As he did so, Klose is writhing in agony, clutching his left thigh, and Pulisic is now back on his feet.
Yeah, his thigh, it might be his knee that he's hurt here. I mean, it was pretty heavy challenge from Pulisic. Again, makes it around own downfall. Norwich trying to play out, getting into a little bit of trouble.
And there's treatment here for Tim Klose, and they have had huge problems with injuries. Norwich City at the back, of course. Zimmerman, who was one of their mainstays last season, he's unavailable. Sam Byram, a young player they bought with a good reputation, he's also unavailable for this game. And the injuries have caused problems for them, but it doesn't quite offer enough mitigation, does it, David?
No, it doesn't. I mean, obviously they had Hanley out as well for a large part of it. It was a little bit late there from Pulisic, wasn't it?
He was on the stretch.
Yep.
I think he was looking to maintain possession, but there's no doubt he caught Tim Klose.
As well, Pulisic maybe could have got a shot off there, couldn't he? He just elected to take it a little bit closer to goal, maybe on the edge of the box. It might have been worth a strike, because really they haven't tested Krul at all.
And looking at the Norwich bench, they have Emi Buendia, Timo Pukki, Tom Treble, Adam Idar, Marco Stieper, Michael McGovern, the goalkeeper, Mario Vrancic, 19-year-old Jordan Thomas is the only real defender they have available should Klose have an issue. Well, and they've got Josh Martin as well.
That's right. We saw this with Everton when they were struggling at the back, and they brought in Branthwaite, just a kid, which is a great opportunity. But certainly you'd think when you have 9 subs, Premier League teams,
Everton
a little
had
bit
2
more
keepers
cover
on the bench.
Yes.
On Sunday. And at times they could have played all 3 keepers and they'd have still lost. Is there going to be a change here for Norwich? They've sent out a number of players to warm up. Klose is heading towards this near side and he's hobbling around just in front of Frank Lampard. Marco Stiepermann is the player who is warming up for Norwich, but Klose will carry on for now at least. If they lose Klose, then they've gone beyond the bare bones, haven't they?
Yeah, unless, the likes of Teti maybe drop back in there.
Yeah,
something
that's what he's been doing, hasn't he?
Yeah, a little bit of a rejig, but the way they've started here, obviously you wouldn't want that to happen.
12 minutes to play in the first half here on TalkSport at Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea 0, Norwich 0, a must-win game for Chelsea in their chase for the top 4. And it's been hard going so far.
Well, it has. I just wonder what the odds would be on another double change at half-time. Probably pretty sure, because, the games of late, Lampard has done that, looking for a reaction, and I've got a feeling he'll be doing it again.
Rudiger's just been hauled down by Hernandez inside the centre circle, and it will be a free kick here for Chelsea. I'm not sure what's wrong with Chelsea, but it's just pedestrian, isn't it? Maybe it's difficult. They're trying to break teams down. Here is Alonso with a low ball into the penalty area. It was flicked on by Giroud, almost found Willian. Now Giroud again with a ball towards the edge of the box. It's nodded down by both Loftus-Cheek and Kovacic, but Norwich again will clear. Here is Loftus-Cheek though, challenged by McLean on the far side, and Azpilicueta will go all the way back towards Antonio Rudiger once again.
Well, like I say, I saw City in close quarters, but against a similar team. Brighton obviously struggling near the bottom, but they moved the ball so quick and from side to side. I mean, Chelsea have not got anywhere near that sort of performance here. They really haven't. They've got to move the ball quicker, get it off the centre halves, give it to your ball players, get the ball moving, get your side up the pitch and pass forward. Just haven't done that enough.
But they have won a corner here. Todd Cantwell tracking the run of Marcus Alonso on this near side. And nobody has conceded more goals from corners in the Premier League this season than Norwich City. Willian's delivery is flicked on, headed back into the penalty area by Loftus-Cheek, and there was nobody to finish off.
Well, Alonso, I think, just got across the near there. Brilliant ball in from Willian, right along the 6-yard box. Good little first touch, went to the back post. Loftus-Cheek just keeps it in play, but there's no one there to get on the end of it.
Now Kovacic looking to head to the byline, but Lewis will clear. Now McLean finding Rupp. Jorginho picks up the loose ball for Chelsea. And if you're listening to this game on TalkSport, we are providing artificial crowd noise. If you prefer the natural sound, then retune and listen on talksport.com. Now Alonso all the way back towards Kepa. Kepa, I don't think, has touched the ball with his hands so far.
No, that's right. And I guess if you're Lampard, you might be thinking, I asked for a bit more, talk out on the pitch. Certainly there should be people out saying, come on, this is not good enough. Zuma, Rudiger giving the ball away, too loose. Come on, let's get going. Not acceptable. Certainly not for Chelsea if they have top 4 aspirations, that's for sure.
Now Rudiger does have room to bring the ball forward. It's wide to Azpilicueta on the right-hand side. Dinked on to Willian. Hernandez will go with him, but it's back to Azpilicueta. Now Rudiger, a crossing opportunity, driven into the penalty area, over the head of Giroud, and brought down superbly by Pulisic, and his shot on the turn was brilliantly saved by Tim Krul.
A terrific little touch and swivel. Wonderful ball in from Rudiger. That's the sort of cross that they want, with pace, whipped in, great first touch. The form he's in, similar sort of pole drive, I think, to the Palace goal, belted it towards goal. Krul got a little touch and came off the bar and over.
Willian will take the corner on the far side. Another ball is bouncing onto the field, but the corner is headed towards goal by Zuma and just wide, and Chelsea almost scored there with 2 balls on the pitch.
Yeah, again, comes from Willian. This time it's an outswinger. Wonderful direction. The end's got the pace on it. Zuma didn't really need to generate that much. Free header. Krul was rooted to the spot, but just flashed past the post.
But you can see there why Norwich concede so many goals from set pieces.
You know, every ball in the box they're marking. You know, I've looked back, like I say, love looking back at the games and the goals they conceded. And
now Willian with a cross in from the right-hand side, and Godfrey steps in before Pulisic to clear.
Just far too loose in their marking. You know, I think it's all about what they do with the ball. Well, got to spend an awful lot more time working out what they do without it. They're marking in the box, tracking, blocking.
Now Zuma, who went close a few moments ago, had a similar header at Crystal Palace last week, which also went wide when Chelsea dominated the opening stages, but really had to hold on to win 3-2 as Cantwell just fells Kovacic. It's a free kick taken quickly. Here is Pulisic now attacking the penalty area down the left-hand side, finding Alonso. A low-driven ball in, though, is deflected behind by a lunging Aarons, and it's another Chelsea corner.
Well, that's more like it. You know, that's what they should be doing, Chelsea. Every time there's a foul or a free kick, spotting it, getting it down, moving this play quickly, getting the ball in motion.
Willian will take the corner. Another in-swinger towards that near post. Headed away, though, by Aarons. Controlled by Jorginho, who tells Pulisic to play it wide to Willian, but in the end, Pulisic goes short to Jorginho. So Jorginho does it himself. And again, it breaks down for Chelsea. And Norwich are 7 minutes away from half-time at 0-0. Now Hernandez finding Rupp, but he's always seemed to be hurried in midfield and never has time to settle, and he's robbed by Pulisic. Here is Kovacic. Kovacic again just brushes aside Rupp and finds Azpilicueta. Back to Kovacic. A high diagonal ball from him. It's Willian inside the penalty area down the left-hand side. Aarons is watchful. Jab back towards Alonso, and the cross comes shot, was deflected, and it's another Chelsea corner.
That's more like it, though. Kovacic with that sort of big switch of play, which is what they need. Out to Willian. His first touch actually bounces up in the air, and I think that's where Aarons has got to try and win it. He doesn't. He's on his heels, allows Willian to bring it down on the deck, sets Alonso, goes out for a corner.
They're back underway at the Cardiff City Stadium on TalkSport 2 in our Championship commentary, where it's 1-1 between Cardiff and Derby. Willian's corner fired into the penalty area. It evades everybody, and it will be recovered by Kovacic on this near side, the left. He exchanges passes with Loftus-Cheek. Pulisic losing out to Hernandez, and then the American, rather petulant there, just lashes out at the Cuban, brings him down, and it's a free kick to Norwich.
Yeah, just bars off the ball a couple of times. Pulisic a little bit slow to handle the ball, not like him. At times, certainly since the restart, he's absolutely electric. Yeah, that little shot on the swivel. But apart from that, he's probably guilty of losing the ball probably the most in the Chelsea team.
You're listening to Chelsea versus Norwich on TalkSport with the next generation Nissan Duke. Together, let's move beyond. Chelsea free kick this time for a challenge on Pulisic by Aarons, but it's been a good battle between the two, and Aarons has done okay so far. Now Rudiger, given the room to move forward once again. The game has been played almost exclusively in the Norwich half, but Chelsea are finding it very hard to break them down. Zuma, wide towards Pulisic again. An opportunity to find Alonso on the edge of the penalty area, but it's back towards Zuma. A high cross-field ball from left to right again is headed in field by Azpilicueta. It's allowed to bounce inside the area, and Giroud on the turn will fire the ball towards goal, but it just took a deflection to take the sting out of it, and it's gathered by Tim Krul.
Yeah, that's what you might need to work on, Zuma, that big switch of play, because certainly when teams sit in, the space is out wide because they're so narrow and compact. That time the ball out to Azpilicueta is a bit of a fight ball. He wins the first header. Norwich don't defend the second header. Bounces up to Giroud, but it's not clean contact, and back in the under Krul.
Now Krul clears long downfield again. A good touch by Dermot to bring Hernandez into the game on the Norwich left. 4 minutes to play in the first half. 0-0 here at Stamford Bridge. For Chelsea fans listening and watching at home, it's been a fairly frustrating 40-odd minutes so far, as Alonso wins it back from Rupp on this near side, and a challenge from the German ensures that Chelsea will have to build from deep inside their own half, but Alonso is able to throw it back to Kepa unchallenged.
And they're just taking too long, to go from their half to the other. And at times, again, say referencing City, at times they'll bang that long. They'll bang an 80-yard Edison goal kick, or, when he's in possession with the ball at his feet, just to open up the pitch and get into the other half quicker. As it is, they're a bit slow, just allow Norwich to get back in, and then it's a sort of wall you've got to break down, which has been hard so far.
This Frank Lampard's 50th game in charge of Chelsea. His first win came at Carrow Road in what was a very entertaining game way back in August. It was 2-2 by this stage before Chelsea won it late thanks to Tammy Abraham. Kovacic now on the edge of the penalty area, finds Giroud, but things not quite happening for him. Another layoff, doesn't pick out the intended target. McLean has been caught by Pulisic, and Pulisic here is just testing the patience of John Moss, and it's a Norwich free kick.
Yeah, ball just breaks down, as you mentioned, in around the box, that precision. Giroud with a little layoff, he puts his shirt to his face there, he knows he's got to do better than that. The ball going into him, it's got to stick, it's got to be clever, it's got to be precise.
And it's Tim Krul who will take the free kick from some way outside his penalty area with 2 minutes to play. And with no fans in the ground, we can hear the tube train away to the right-hand side, heading into Fulham Broadway Station.
Well, he's just giving the ball away again, Giroud.
And here is Loftus-Cheek on towards Kovacic. There could be a break for Chelsea here, but the crossfield ball from Kovacic is cut out by Hernandez. He was then caught by Willian, and it's another free kick to Norwich.
Yeah, the turnovers have been so cheap.
This is their best 45 minutes for some weeks.
Yeah, they've been helped though, haven't they? Because Chelsea, with their passing and possession, just haven't been on it. They really haven't. Their final ball, the little details, simple things. That time Kovacic trying to switch the play. It's a poor pass. He's got about 50 yards in front of Willian to hit, and he doesn't. Drops it short, they cut it out, and then they're on the attack and he commits a foul.
Now a back pass from Teti, finds Krul 10 yards outside his own area. Hakim Ziyech, Chelsea's new signing from Ajax, is inside the stadium watching tonight. He's now training with his new club. I tell you what, with his pace, he would make a difference on a night like tonight.
Yeah, he's got wonderful ability, great quality. He'll be a terrific addition.
Timo Werner coming in as well, but there's lingering doubt for Chelsea fans that maybe there need to be changes further back as well.
Well, that's true. I've commentated on a few games and seen Werner, he operates sometimes from the left, sometimes through the middle. I think he is a goal getter, but he gets an awful lot of chances as well. He's small, so it depends how Chelsea want to play at times. Doesn't have the height that Abraham possesses or Giroud. He's got the movement. But I just wonder, would he start in a game like tonight? They need a bit more pace to run in behind centrally. Possibly.
Well, the Chelsea bench for this evening: Christensen, James, Barkley, Mount, Abraham, Hudson-Odoi, Caballero, Pedro and Tomori. Here is Willian moving forward now down the right-hand side, delivers a low cross into the area, but it's a simple claim, unchallenged, for Tim Krul. Not the sort of delivery that Olivier Giroud will appreciate.
No, because, he didn't get his head up and he didn't have a look, Willian, to see maybe what Giroud's movements were. In the end, the Norwich backline got closer to their goalkeeper, so the space was away from them. Giroud pulled off in a little pocket about 5 yards out. He just needed a little cut-back cross. Instead, Willian flashes it across the 6-yard, straight into the arms of Krul.
We're into a minimum of 3 added minutes at the end of the first half here, as Norwich are flagged offside for the first time in the game. Daniel Farke standing there, arms folded, in his hooded jacket. And Frank Lampard, as David said, took his jacket off during the water break, and he's there in his t-shirt, and he looks to be bristling.
Yeah, he does. He is not a happy man. Not surprised.
Now Giroud loses out to Tim Closer in the air. Both teams appeal for handball as Chelsea win it back on the edge of the area with Loftus-Cheek. And now Rudiger. And Zuma will play it further wide to the left-hand side. And Alonso. And Norwich here just need to get to half-time and they can reset and enjoy 15 minutes in the dressing room for a change. Willian on the edge of the penalty area, plays it infield, almost found Giroud, but Norwich are able to get a block in, and now they will try and break with Lewis down the left into Rupp. Rupp appeals for handball as he was challenged, and I think he may have had a case there as Azpilicueta won it back, but Chelsea again have to play, probably for them, too many passes to get to where they want to be.
Yeah, and they've got that sort of box, haven't they? The two centre halves, Zuma and Rudiger, then the two midfielders, Kovacic and
Alonso.
Jorginho, and they're almost like a box, you know, they're like a box there, and you don't need a box. I think they could do with a triangle.
Now Rudiger's high ball into the penalty area beyond Giroud, but it's gathered by Alonso down the left-hand side. A high cross in, Giroud shaping for the header, but Norwich will clear. Azpilicueta is down in some distress inside the area, but Chelsea will continue with Pulisic, challenged by Cantwell, but Pulisic delivers the cross. Giroud with the header, and Chelsea have the lead on the stroke of half-time. Yet another start and yet another goal for Olivier Giroud. They've had to work extremely hard for it, but Norwich's defensive vigil comes to an end right before half-time. Chelsea 1, Norwich 0.
Right, it's a really good goal. This is Giroud all over. Ends up at the feet of Pulisic, out wide the left, ducks inside, a brilliant in-swinging delivery. He just gets in between the two defenders, plants his head up at the near post. Krul gets a touch in it, but he can't keep it out. Look, you wouldn't say he deserved it, but the first time they've actually put a ball in a bit of quality. Again, what happens though, Norwich, they lose their markers in the box. Such poor marking again. Too easy for Giroud.
Well, Olivier Giroud has been waiting for a cross like that all evening. He's delivered once again, and Norwich trail once again, and they couldn't quite get to half-time, and they have lost every single game this season, all 22 in which they've conceded first.
Yeah, well look, I don't think it changes much, because he won't be too happy, will he, Lampard, no matter what, even with the goal, because his performance levels, I think that's what concerns him. You know, it really would. The performance here hasn't been good enough, and you know, he might keep faith with them, or he might make changes. Maybe he feels that he need to freshen it up. We'll have to wait and see.
And that's half-time, and Norwich's shoulders really sag. They defended really well at times during the opening 45 minutes. Chelsea were laboured and often uncoordinated, but the header from Olivier Giroud has put them on course to keep their top four hopes firmly in their own hands. At half-time, it is Chelsea 1, Norwich 0. Thank you, Hugh. Chelsea are out for the second half already. There don't look to be any changes made by Frank Lampard at half-time. We're yet to see Norwich emerge back out here to Stamford Bridge, apart from Tim Krul, who was going through the motions with the goalkeeping coach in the penalty area away to our right-hand side. So a reminder of the two sides for you once again. Chelsea are Kepa in goal, Azpilicueta, Zuma, Rudiger and Alonso the back four, Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho and Kovacic in midfield, Willian and Pulisic either side of the goal scorer Giroud. For Norwich, it is Krul in goal, Aarons, Godfrey, Klose and Lewis. Two holding midfielders, that's Teti and McLean, Rupp, Cantwell and Hernandez behind Dermich. And Norwich are yet to take a single point from a losing position this season. No one in Premier League history has ever done that, and nobody across Europe's top 5 leagues achieved that unwanted milestone this season. And David Connolly, is tonight the night Norwich will come back?
Well, they've got it all to do, let's be honest, after conceding, because especially in the manner right before half-time was a blow for them. Look, they didn't have that many attacks, but you know, they defended pretty well with what they faced, apart from probably the only time they were going to score, the only way that Chelsea were going to score, which is getting the ball into Giroud's head, and again, just poor marking in the box from Norwich has cost them.
And Norwich emerged from a tunnel way down to our right-hand side by the corner flag at the Matthew Harding stand end, and there don't look to be any changes for them either, at least at this stage. Of course, both teams can make 5 changes in 3 separate interchanges throughout the second half, and Chelsea now will be looking to push on to seal 3 points here and ensure that the race for the top four remains in their hands with 2 games to play. They're in FA Cup action in the semi-final at the weekend, live on Talk Sport against Manchester United. Then they go to Liverpool on Wednesday evening, and they're at home to Wolves on the final day. Both games are difficult for different reasons, but they need to get the job done here first. Chelsea in all blue and white socks, defending the goal away to our left-hand side, and Kepa did not have a single shot of any description to go anywhere near him in the first half.
No, he didn't, but I think Lampard will know a second goal is vitally important here. He'll probably look at the Leicester game. Maybe he said it to the lads, Leicester are 1-0 up, didn't get that second goal against Bournemouth, and look what happened. They want to get another goal here as quickly as possible.
Chelsea enjoyed 69% possession during the first half, 12 shots, only 3 on target though. Norwich barely crossed the halfway line. Here is Closer now, deep inside his own penalty area, clears up towards Rupp, but Rupp has lost the ball on so many occasions and does so again. Now Willian down the right, just allows the ball to evade his grasp, but he recovers. Now Lewis with the challenge, and Lewis will concede the first corner in the second half.
Yeah, you're right, Rupp has given the ball away far too often.
I don't want to be harsh, but
no, it's true.
I don't see what he does.
No, it's harsh but fair. He's got to look after that ball, certainly in the middle of the park. Well, it's even close, not the middle of the park, it's actually in their final third. He's got to keep hold of it.
Willian will take the corner, high into the penalty area. This time it is Rudiger who was on the end of it, but he was off balance, so as a result the header was some way off target.
But no surprise, he got free header, didn't he? Free contact, again the marking from Norwich. That's one thing, he's got to go away, and he'll analyse, Farker, certainly all the goals that they've conceded, how they conceded, the manner of them, and all those sides that they're going to face in the Championship. They'll be looking at videos of Norwich, looking at how they conceded goals, how they scored goals, and going to work out how to beat them, and they'll know, look, put balls into the box, their marking's poor, tracking the runners, out-jumped, out-muscled at times.
Frank Lampard faced Norwich twice last season in the Championship, but he was in charge of Derby County. Of course, it was a Norwich team with a very different outlook. And he won by 4 goals to 3 at Carrow Road, came from behind late on to win. And Fikayo Tomori and Mason Mount both scored, and they're on the Chelsea bench this evening. Now Loftus-Cheek finding Willian. Coming in field from the Chelsea right, shuffles towards the edge of the area, finds Loftus-Cheek again. The width has been supplied by Azpilicueta, but Willian ignores him, goes across the penalty area to find Kovacic, who is challenged by Rupp, but Kovacic is able to maintain possession. Now Rudiger, high ball swung in from the right hand side, overhit, straight out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, I'm not too sure why Rudiger delivers that ball. That's what I was saying about Jorginho dropping in, or somebody of that ilk, just to get on the ball and help them retain it. And unless it's Willian, he looks the one most likely, doesn't he, Willian? I don't know what's going to happen to him for next season, but
well, of course he's out of contract.
Yeah.
Norwich play deep inside their own 6-yard area again, and Aarons gave it back to Krul, who was 3 yards out. Giroud was on his toes, so the goalkeeper hacks it straight out of play.
And that tells me, what have they learned? I look back at that game, that Chelsea game, what have they learned since then? The way they play out, the way they concede, not a lot has changed. There they are, 1-0 down, obviously bottom of the league, or close to.
Well, very much bottom of the league.
And, they're still playing out 6 yards from their own goal line.
But they're so deep, the central defenders are almost on the byline, that the forward players from the opposition can be on the edge of the penalty area. I mean, it's like watching a kids game.
Yeah, I mean, what they should do, I've seen other sides do this, if they can't get up the pitch, the goalkeeper spot it, why don't Jamal Lewis, you go and be a winger for a change, you go and try and win a flick on. I've seen Leicester do that with Ben Chilwell because they don't have any height. Let's be a bit more direct. Man City can mix it up, There's nothing wrong with going long.
And Norwich still have to face Manchester City on the final day of the season. Burnley at home first, which is live on Talk Sport on Saturday evening. And there's a break in play here because Tim Closer is down. He had a lengthy injury delay in the first half, and he's got a problem again here, but he's back on his feet, and John Moss, the referee, just checking he's okay before he goes back into position. Norwich will get the ball back midway inside their own half. Play was stopped, and Giroud, I think, is looking to contest the drop ball, but of course that doesn't happen. It's dropped to Godfrey, and Godfrey will look to play out with the square ball to Klose, who treads on the ball and almost gives it away to Giroud, and all that we were talking about there almost came to pass.
Comedy of errors there. I mean, ball lands at Godfrey, pass it to Klose, who just got up from being injured. He's probably thinking, I don't want it here, why are you giving it to me? And then he loses it, and got away with that one, Norwich.
But now Chelsea have given the ball away. Cantwell takes a throw in, which finds Rupp down the right hand side on towards Dermich, and he crosses low into the penalty area, but of course he's the lone striker, so if he's doing that, there's nobody in the middle. Well,
if you know that, Nigel, why doesn't he? He's crossing basically into Kepa. There you go, there's some practice for. I know you're cold, you haven't touched the ball in a while, have that one. You know, that's where Dermich, come on, he's got to be more savvy. Sure, stay on the ball, get hold of it, wait for support. Everyone knows that when you play it up top on your own.
Norwich with one away victory all season, and that came at Everton back in November, and only a single point away from home in the calendar year as Willian meanders in field again from the right hand side, tries to find Pulisic, but Norwich will clear, but Tete has given the ball away to Willian, who fires in the shot, which is deflected behind by Jamal Lewis for a corner.
Well, he looks like he's got something to prove, isn't he, Willian? I'm not saying he has, but he's got the bit between his teeth. Look, when they lose the ball, he's the first one just trying to win it back. He is quick, he is aggressive, you know, he's got great feet as well. I think he'll be a loss, won't he, if he leaves Chelsea?
Well, he's 31, and of course the profile of Chelsea signings is a good deal younger these days, but he knows the place and he could help bring the younger players on if he wants to. Willian's corner again in towards that near post, and it was Giroud rising with another unchallenged header which goes wide.
Yeah, this time again he out jumps closer. For the first time he has a little slap on his hand. Giroud thinks he should be hitting the target. Player of his quality standards in the air, probably should. But nothing changes. Look, there's Norwich, 2 centre-half, 6 yards out, trying to play out, and there's Krul, gives it away. Oh, well, nearly gave it away.
Yeah, well, it was an aerial ball towards Aarons on the right, and Pulisic tried to win it back, but it skimmed off the top of his head and out for a throw into Norwich. We played 52 minutes. TalkSport at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League, and it's Chelsea 1, Norwich 0. The goal on the stroke of half-time, a header from Olivier Giroud. His 5th goal in 6 starts, and he had that record for Arsenal for a time as well, that he always scored when he started. He was used sparingly at times, but one decent cross fired in, and Giroud made the most of it.
I mean, what Norwich need to do is get the ball, you know, to their ball-playing players. Their best players are much higher up the pitch. You Cantwell's, your Buendia's when he's on the pitch.
Here is Cantwell moving forward now, and he has got support from Hernandez on the edge of the penalty area to the right. Hernandez pulls the cross back looking for Rupp. It's cleared away, and in the end Tete can't pick up the rebound, but on a couple of occasions now Norwich have ventured into Chelsea territory, and on that occasion they have Chelsea stretched.
Yeah, that's why they need to get it up there a little bit quicker.
And Chelsea can break now. Pulisic plays it wide to the left-hand side, and Kovacic back to Pulisic again, tried to pick out Loftus-Cheek with the reverse ball on the edge of the penalty area, but it's gathered by Willian, wide towards Giroud down the left-hand side. Kovacic in space, lovely flick to find Willian on the edge of the penalty area, but Norwich again get canary yellow shirts around the ball, and they will clear, but the flick from Cantwell doesn't find Rupp. And here is Alonso now in space, finding Giroud inside the penalty area. Pulisic almost wins it back. There's chaos there inside the penalty area as Norwich try to get their feet in order, and eventually they do. Cantwell plays a long ball forward looking for Dermich, and it beats both he and Rudiger into touch for a Chelsea throw.
Well, that's where he's so isolated, Dermich. I mean, Cantwell's just got to spend a little bit more time on the ball, work his way up the pitch, find another pass in the middle of the park. That's why I think Norwich need to go longer, a little bit earlier, rather than giving it to your 2 centre-halves who, to be honest, I wouldn't say they're that great building up play. Can we get it into the likes of Cantwell quicker, McLean quicker, Hernandez?
54 minutes played. Chelsea lead by a goal to 0, but it's Norwich moving forward again now. with McLean. Hernandez with a burst into the area, an important challenge. McLean then fires in a shot which strikes the back of Pulisic, and we can hear a yelp of pain there from the American. But a warning for Chelsea again as they look to move forward now with Giroud down the right-hand side, finding Willian again, and Pulisic is now back on his feet.
But look, they've gone so slowly, Chelsea. They've got all 11 players now back Norwich, about 30 yards from their goal. That's where they need to attack. Just go a bit quicker. If they want the second goal to kill the game on the counter-attack like that, when Norwich have committed 3-4 players in the opposition box, they've got to go quicker. Azpilicueta
with a high ball wide to the far side. And Alonso unable to control, challenged by Cantwell, but Chelsea do have a throw-in taken by Alonso into the feet of Pulisic. Now Rudiger inside the centre circle, fires a pass wide towards Willian, who brings it down superbly, quickly into Giroud, laid back towards Azpilicueta. Now Willian again will look to go beyond Jamal Lewis. He's got him backtracking inside the penalty area, dinks a high cross to the far post, but everybody have been sucked towards the ball, and Rupp will clear for Norwich on the far side.
Yeah, just looking at how they set up. I'm looking at Loftus-Cheek in particular, because I think he's got so much ability and he's such an athlete. When the ball goes to Willian wide, he supports behind the ball as if to say, look, set me back so I've got everything in front of me. I'd love to see him break into the box, get to the byline and then maybe cut a ball back. He said everything's back, safe, secure. Someone else has got to break a line for Chelsea.
56 minutes played on TalkSport. Chelsea lead by a 1-0. Closing stages of our commentary game over on TalkSport 2, where it's still Cardiff 2, Derby 1. Cardiff looking to take a grip on 6th place. Elsewhere, Luton 1, Queen's Park Rangers 1, Millwall 1, Blackburn 0, and Sheffield Wednesday 0, Huddersfield 0 are still latest scores. Earlier on today, West Brom and Fulham drew 0-0. Middlesbrough won 2-1 at Reading, and Wigan beat Hull by 8-0.
I mean, look, when the season ends and you get all the managers who'll have a think about what are we doing next season, because there's just no time now, is there, in terms of how they play, coaching, tactics, it's all about game to game. I tell you what, there wouldn't be nothing wrong, I think, Lampard getting, Man City's last few games, having a look at them and see how often they run ahead of the ball, how often they get to the byline, how often do the midfielders break a line and say, look, that's how we want to play.
Now Cantwell was looking to execute a mazy dribble across the field, and then he lost the ball, he lunged out and he caught Loftus-Cheek, and John Moss has flourished the first yellow card of the evening. Cantwell is quick to apologise, and I think that was frustration from him, because he was trying to show some energy, trying to make something happen, but he lost the ball and then just got carried away.
Well, there's about 6 players warming up down there, so I guess changes will be afoot soon for probably both sides. It's like Mount, maybe Barkley.
Chelsea lead 13 minutes into the second half here on TalkSport. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, Sam and Danny Mills will bring you Newcastle against Spurs at 6 o'clock over on TalkSport 2. Mark Wilson and Mickey Gray have Burnley against Wolves. On Thursday night, it is Leeds against Barnsley, TalkSport 2 at 5 o'clock. On Friday night on TalkSport, 8 o'clock kickoff, it is West Ham against Watford. Now Zuma, pressurised by Cantwell. He's helped up by Jorginho, but it's given away by Chelsea. Dermich on the edge of the area, just unable to gather and turn, and it's hooked clear by Zuma. And Chelsea here have been pretty unimpressive defensively in the second half.
Well, yeah, that's where they're actually in possession there. Zuma trying to build the play, doesn't look comfortable, always getting pressed, Harry down, loses possession, then his pace just enables him to get back, but they don't look secure building from the back, which is why I just think they need to go long earlier.
Now Aaron's charging forward. Was he caught by Zuma? He was, and it's a Norwich free kick wide on the far side there, right, about 20 yards from the penalty area.
Yeah, rash challenge here from Zuma. This will be a ball in the box we still have to defend. Haven't had to defend too many, but it hasn't been a response, certainly not the second half that I thought I would see. Look, they got a bit lucky, I think, going in at half time. I'm sure Lampard would have said that, but the sort of performance that I was expecting a much improved one.
And it's a rarity in this game, but Chelsea now will have to do some defending. McLean is over the free kick. And there's a fairly thick blue line on the edge of the penalty area. Closer is forward, so too is Teti. McLean's delivery towards the near post. It's Closer who flicks the ball on, but again it was behind the on-rushing players at the far post, and Chelsea will look to break now. Pulisic on the chase, and Krul comes outside his penalty area. The clearance was up rather than away. It's nodded down by Pulisic, looking for Giroud, and in the end Godfrey was caught by Pulisic, and it's a free kick to Norwich. But Norwich now just beginning to emerge from their defensive shell.
Yeah, they've been a little bit more adventurous, aren't they? I think there's not too much to lose. They're not going to get away from their usual way of playing, but they've shown slightly more adventure in this second half.
An hour played, 1-0 to Chelsea here on TalkSport with Now TV. Only pay for the games that matter to you with a Now TV Sky Sports Pass from just $9.99. Search Now TV. Godfrey has time inside the Norwich half to play the ball in field to McLean. Rupp and Dermich made the run ahead of him, but it's wide to this near side and Jamal Lewis. Dermich now back in field to Closer. Norwich of course have Timo Pukki and also Adam Idar on the bench, and I'd like to see him running at the Chelsea defence maybe.
Yeah, he actually should have gotten the score sheet recently, shouldn't he?
Against Norwich, yeah. Sorry, not against Norwich, against Watford.
Yeah.
Also hit the inside of the post against Brighton in the closing seconds when he almost saved a point, but now Cantwell has won the ball back from Kovacic. Cantwell was caught, but Norwich will continue here. There's an opportunity for them to get the canary yellow shirts forward. It's Jamal Lewis who fires in a shot. Was it deflected? It was, and Norwich have their first corner.
Well, I think he might be getting booked here, Kovacic, for a late challenge on Cantwell. Look, the referee Mars played the advantage, and with Cantwell down, I don't know if it was an advantage. As it was, Lewis took the shot on from distance outside the box, took the deflection, is going out for a corner.
It's finished. Luton 1, Queen's Park Rangers 1 in the Championship. Luton really needed 3 points there. Pegged back in the second half. McLean will take the corner. An outswinger for Norwich towards the near post. It's flicked on and then cleared by Zuma up towards the halfway line. Pulisic will win the heading duel with Aarons, but Teti coming back wins it back, and now Lewis will go all the way back towards Tim Krul again. And it's more of an even contest now in terms of possession and territory.
Yeah, and this is dangerous, isn't it? They saw this, as I said, we saw this the other day with Leicester, 1-0, very dangerous scoreline. You think you're sort of comfortable, the opposition not really threatening, and suddenly they've grown and got a bit more confidence.
Chelsea a point clear of both Leicester and Manchester United, who failed to win their most recent games. Here is Teti. Wolves and Sheffield United are suddenly expressing an interest again in the top four, and that's despite Manchester City's presence in the Champions League next season.
We're just looking at Willian again, out of possession. He does so well. Just a little recovery, loose ball from Teti. He was just about to come out wide of Hernandez, but Willian, with his pace, just recovers it really well. Good touch, control, and suddenly Chelsea got the ball back.
Rudiger all the way back towards Kepa. Now Zuma once again, and Norwich now are beginning to press far higher up the field. McLean and Dermich on the edge of the penalty area as Kepa clears long downfield. Closer wins the header beyond Giroud, but it almost comes to Kovacic. But now it's Godfrey charging forward. He's found Dermich in space on the right. Cantwell will try and pick up the loose ball, but it's Zuma who does well under pressure to find Rudiger inside the penalty area. But Chelsea now, they're not enjoying this game one bit. They're leading. Maybe it was widely assumed this would be a comfortable victory. Ross Barkley will be on shortly, but it's anything but at the moment. Now Jorginho, wide to the far side, and Alonso. 64 minutes played. The Norwich side, which have been battered from pillar to post in recent times, 7 successive defeats. They're losing this game, but they're giving, in consideration, a fairly good account of themselves at the moment. Now Willian, found by Rudiger down the right-hand side. Azpilicueta made the run ahead of him, then checks back. And much of Chelsea's play has been very predictable so far. Alonso now coming infield from the left-hand side. And it's back with Rudiger, where it started. Here is Azpilicueta. There's a 1-2 with Willian. And do we credit Norwich, or do we look at Chelsea's glaring lack of creativity?
Well, yeah, they're just not moving the ball. You know, I don't want to keep comparing them to other sides, but, you know, if they want to get to where other teams are at the top, they've really got to improve their possession play. And they've got to switch the ball bigger, quicker. They need runners running ahead of the ball. They've got too many players supporting behind the ball, too many square passes. Some players have got to break a line and be bold. Loftus-Cheek here, can he be bold in possession? That's a bit better.
It's a terrific ball from Loftus-Cheek, wide to the far side, and Alonso. Now Pulisic finding Alonso again, a crossing opportunity low into the penalty area, and it comes out to Azpilicueta, who curls it. And in the end, it just lands on the roof of the netting. I wasn't sure if Tim Krul got a touch there. He didn't. And it's a goal kick, and Chelsea make their first change, and it's Ross Barkley who replaces Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Well, ironically, you know, the irony is, I was just, you know, criticising him for not playing forward, not being creative enough. He hits one pass, which I think that's because he realises, or he knows, oh, I might be coming off here, I better do something. And he needs to play the whole game like that. You know, just being brave, taking risks. You know, if you're going to play safe, that's not going to be enough for Chelsea. I think Frank will be disappointed with his output, Loftus-Cheek. He would have wanted a lot more.
And the players are both heading towards this near side for a drinks break, with Chelsea leading on TalkSport by a 1-0. It is full time in our commentary game over on TalkSport 2, where Cardiff City have beaten Derby County by 2-1, and that's a big win for Cardiff after 2 recent defeats, and they will remain in the playoff zone in the Championship. They're still playing in the matches at Sheffield Wednesday, where it's goalless between Wednesday and Huddersfield, and also at the Den, where Millwall lead Blackburn by a 0-0. And again, Frank Lampard has chosen the water break to take off the coat, stood there in the t-shirt, and his body language is rather pugnacious.
Yeah, I think the loss of the coat is the signal that he means business. Well, let's see if his players mean business, because this is still in the balance. You know, it really is. Another goal. Look, they look fairly comfortable, 1-0, but another goal, and this, you know, these 3 points are definitely theirs. You just need to get it. But to be honest, they don't look like scoring another goal, do they? Certainly not in this second half so far.
Well, Norwich have had as many chances as Chelsea.
Do you think Ziyech, you know, will replace the goals that Willian has got? You know, because he's in the double figures and he gives you a lot with the ball, without the ball. It's almost like you're trading one for the other. It's a shame you can't maybe keep both, but it looks like Willian might be on the way out.
Norwich are pressed as they look to play out again, but this time they do clear the penalty area. But Lewis, with a missed kick, is controlled by Pulisic, appeals for handball, not answered by John Moss, and is played wide to the far side, and Alonso on the Chelsea left. He has support from Jorginho. Barkley waiting midway inside the Norwich half. Norwich yet to make a change, but here is Rudiger again, who checks beyond Dermich, and he's only 25 yards from goal, but it's a short ball to Azpilicueta, and now Willian will carry it all the way back to the halfway line, and Chelsea will start again. Rudiger now with a long diagonal wide towards the Chelsea left. It's controlled by Alonso. Pulisic providing the width, but it was infield looking for Giroud, who applauds the intention, but Norwich will clear. And well, Norwich are just beginning to drop a bit deeper.
Yeah, they are. It's a square ball into Giroud, but I think, you know, there was the run from Kovacic finally just trying to break in beyond that Norwich back line, and he should have played that one rather than the square ball. Play the ball in behind. Just try and get a player to penetrate, get to the byline, get in behind. They just haven't got in behind enough here, Chelsea.
Well, it's looking to avoid their 25th league defeat of the season, which would be a club record. 8 successive defeats would also be an unwanted milestone they would carry from this season. And I wonder when or if Daniel Farke will bring on Buendia and Pukki, who have looked like the sort of players who may create a goal recently. Now Willian, challenged by Teti, and Cantwell has blocked the ball forward from Alonso, and he can bring Norwich forward now down the right-hand side. Has Aarons on his outside, Rupp down the centre, but Cantwell continues. Hernandez on the edge of the penalty area, checks when he could have shot. Now he's got support from Aarons on his outside. He also checks back, fires a ball into the penalty area, which was mishit and blocked by Kovacic, and Norwich there not making the most of a good opportunity.
No, but they just need Cantwell to get the ball more often. I mean, every time he gets it, it looks like something's going to happen. He's a really good ball carrier, great energy to close Alonso down, then to carry the ball into the other half. He just needs a few more players on his wavelength.
Lewis now down the left-hand side, finding Hernandez. Cantwell plays it behind Lewis inside the area, and it will go behind for a goal kick. And maybe Buendia will be on shortly. In fact, he's on now, and it's Cantwell they're taking off.
Yeah, that's a shame. Light for light change. He shakes his head. I'm sure he's disappointed, Cantwell, because when he's got on the ball, I guess, look, they don't want him to get injured. But at this stage of the season, what is there to lose? You know, you might as well keep him on. And
he might have been Norwich next season anyway.
Well, exactly.
Well, with that shock of blonde hair in the Alice band, he heads off and Buendia comes on. And I agree with you. It would have been great to see Buendia supported by Cantwell.
Yes, players on a similar wavelength, you know, that think the same. They want to go forward and attack, can look after the ball, can carry it. Yes, okay, they might not be as great defensively, but, you know, they work tirelessly. We saw that, him closing down Alonso.
19 minutes to play. The Sports Bar with Andy Goldstein coming up at the end of this game. 08717 22 33 44. If you want to comment on this game or anything that's happened in the Championship tonight, Wigan the big winners, 8-0 against Hull, 0-0 between West Brom and Fulham, as Alonso breaks into the penalty area down the left-hand side, but he had to scoop at the cross, and Norwich will clear. Here is Barkley finding Azpilicueta. His deep across into the area, looks for Giroud, who wins the header, but it was off the back of his head in the end, maybe a bit of shoulder involved, and it loops harmlessly wide. Yeah,
he just outmuscles Godfrey again, doesn't he? Shrugs him off. Giroud, Godfrey, bit of a mismatch, and he's come up against some obviously top centre forwards, hasn't he, in the Premier League this season, Godfrey. He'll be better for it. Why not face, if he is in the Championship, the same sort of muscle and guile?
Well, they've still got the trip to the Etihad to come on the final day. Norwich did not once win at Manchester City on the final day of the season back in 2013, but we will get very long odds on a repeat this time around. Azpilicueta, square again towards Zuma, and we have 17 minutes to play, and it's still Chelsea 1, Norwich 0 here on TalkSport. Premier League action tomorrow, Newcastle against Spurs at 6 with Sam and Danny Mills over on TalkSport 2. It is Burnley against Wolves. On Thursday night, Leeds against Barnsley, TalkSport 2 at 5 p.m. Then on Friday, 8 o'clock, big game, West Ham against Watford. Here is Alonso now coming in field from the left-hand side, hurdles the challenge of Rupp, and he's got Kovacic in support. Now Pulisic just checks back, and the cross is blocked by Aarons, and Chelsea have a throw-in.
Well, Rudiger's done it twice in this second half, which he didn't do in the first half. That big raking diagonal, that's the ball they need to hit from right side centre back to the left back, really high, almost on the edge of the Norwich box.
Chelsea are still winning this game, and if they win, they'll be 4 points clear of both Leicester and Manchester United. Pulisic now with another little scoop into the penalty area, but this time over the shoulder of Giroud, and it's gathered by Krul, who very quickly bowls the ball out to the far side, but beyond Buendia, and that will be a throw-in. Currently, Chelsea 1, Norwich 0. For the latest odds, head to the Betfair Exchange, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage. Right now, you can get Chelsea at 1.08, Norwich at 140. The draw is 13, all thanks to the Betfair Exchange. More ways to bet, more ways to win. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Now Giroud wins it well above closer, but he can't link up with Willian down the right-hand side, and Krul has the opportunity to clear downfield once again. Azpilicueta, though, heads it back towards the edge of the penalty area. The bounce of the ball doesn't favour Godfrey. Here is Giroud now. A high ball into the area looking for Pulisic on the volley, and it's a fine save from Tim Krul. Terrific technique from Pulisic. The ball dropping over his shoulder, but the left-footed volley kept out well by the Norwich goalkeeper. Here is Alonso coming forward now. On the far side, there's a Norwich player down. Pulisic, at walking pace, will try and attack the penalty area as Giroud waiting for the cross, and the cross in the end struck Pulisic and goes behind for a goal kick.
Oh, it was unlucky, wasn't it, from Pulisic? Lovely little lob pass here from Giroud on the edge of the box. Great invention, just to scoop it over the top, and Pulisic with the first time volley. Not the cleanest connection, was it? Bit of a scuff with his left peg, but it was destined for the bottom corner, and Krul got done well.
It is finished. Millwall 1, Blackburn 0, and Sheffield Wednesday 0, Huddersfield 0 in the Championship. 1-0 to Chelsea here with 15 minutes to play. And there is going to be a double change made shortly, a triple change by Norwich as Daniel Farke's team chase the game. Ida, Pukki and Stiepermann all coming on. As Krul clears downfield again. Dermich will leap, but Barkley wins the header, then Giroud comes between Teti and Klose. And Chelsea will break with Pulisic now towards the edge of the area. Willian down this right-hand side. Forced further wide by Hernandez, but Azpilicueta with a deep cross towards the far post, and arriving around the back was Pulisic, and his header was kept out by us. In fact, it was Alonso with the header, and it's kept out by a sprawling Krul. Oh, it's a really good save from Krul, strong arm. Now Pulisic on the edge of the area, left-hand side again, turns into trouble, and it's Rupp who will clear for Norwich. He now works a 1-2 with Buendia, just about keeps the ball in play on the byline on the far side, but Chelsea win it back, and Norwich are chasing an equaliser with 13 minutes to play.
Well, they are, but that's only, I guess, in part due to Tim Krul, who, as we said at the start of the game, you know, look, they've conceded a lot of goals, but he's made a lot of saves as well. He's made 2 today here, hasn't he? Got down low well to Pulisic, and that one's a terrific one-handed save from Alonso.
Pukki, Ida and Stiepermann still a wait on the touchline for Norwich. Here is Zuma midway inside the Chelsea half, forward towards Jorginho and back towards Zuma again. It's Chelsea 1, Norwich 0 on Talk Sport with the next generation Nissan Duke. Together, let's move beyond. Now Azpilicueta forward towards Barkley and wide to Willian once again. Willian coming in field. Pulisic popping up, and now Giroud finding Kovacic. This is better from Chelsea. Here is Alonso now with space down the left-hand side. Comes in field beyond the challenge of Buendia and also beyond Aarons, and looks to win a corner, but a goal kick has been given, and Norwich will make their treble change. And Onel Hernandez is the first player to come off, and the Cuban has offered a threat at times. Dermich is the second, and I would imagine that Teti is the third, and that's what's happening with Stiepermann, Pukki and Ida coming on. So 2 strikers and Stiepermann to try and support the midfield, and he can also get forward as well, although he's one of a number of players for Norwich who looked really good last season but hasn't really stepped up. As Krul will take the goal kick for Norwich, and we have just over 10 minutes to play on Talk Sport. Chelsea have not been able to build on their lead given to them by Olivier Giroud in first half added time. 08717 223344, the number to call Andy Goldstein on the sports bar at the end of this game. As Norwich come forward now with Ida, but it's Rudiger who comes across to clear. Now Klose, quickly challenged by Willian, and it will be a throw-in to Norwich, and well, there's already much more invention from them.
Yeah, but already what have they got now up top? A bit of an aerial threat, a physical threat with Ida. First time they've really gone long there. Krul up to Ida, wins the flick on, and suddenly they're in the opposition half much quicker.
Ida now looking to roll the challenge of Azpilicueta, who had hold of his shirt, and it's a free kick for Norwich. And there's going to be a change made now by Chelsea, and it's Reece James who will come on to replace Marcus Alonso, and Alonso just having words with John Moss on his way off.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this before, and you know, in terms of how Chelsea want to play, when this happens, Reece James comes on, plays right back, Azpilicueta goes to left back. I don't think it works. I really don't. I know he cut back the ball for Barkley, I think, when he banged one into the top corner from left back Azpilicueta, but I think he is a right back. But how do you accommodate Reece James? This is the problem.
And Jermaine Beckford will be alongside Andy Goldstein on the Sports Bar this evening, taking your calls. I'm sure he wouldn't mind one or two views on a big game coming up for Leeds, live on TalkSport 2 on Thursday night. But Norwich here, chasing the equaliser, which they've not had the opportunity to do on too many occasions recently.
Well, at least Hudson-Odoi looks like he's now on his favoured left wing position. It's certainly where he prefers to play.
Now McLean, wide towards the far side. Hudson-Odoi coming on to replace Pulisic. As it's pinged forward looking for Ida, and he's onside down the Chelsea right. Frank Lampard can't believe it, but Ida continues now. He's got support from Stiepermann, and he's won a throw-in. And I have to say, he did look offside.
Yeah, he did. I think he might have been as well, but not given. But already they've got him behind a couple of times. He's given them a bit more pace and power up top, which is what they've needed.
Adam Ida, only a teenager, but he could have a very important role to play for Norwich in the Championship next season.
Oh, your favourite man there, Roop, giving the ball away.
And Norwich had it, but now Chelsea knock it forward rather aimlessly, and they will look at the watch. 8.5 minutes to play. They're leading 1-0. They're doing what they have to do, but Chelsea have been pressed very few this evening.
Yeah, they have, but look, there's a bit of a sense of urgency now. You see Krul going over to the throw. Look, give me the ball, let's get it back in motion. Maybe they know, they sense there could be something here, and if there is, that's where Lampard would have a few regrets. They didn't really go for that second goal.
Well, it's a big week for Chelsea with the semi-final coming up against Manchester United, and then they go to Liverpool next Wednesday. And the way things are going, although who knows on the basis of the results we've seen recently, they'll have to go to Anfield and get something. But they've got to sort this game out first. Now Krul on the edge of his area, plays it wide to the far side. And Godfrey under pressure from Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi makes the challenge. The ball stays in play, but eventually it does dribble behind, and it will be a goal kick for Norwich.
Well, it's Krul from Krul to give the ball to Godfrey in that sort of position, being pressed. That's where, you know, you've got Ida now. Just go long, relieve the pressure, and get up the pitch.
Reece James challenges McLean, and it's McLean who fouls him, and it will be a Chelsea free kick here. 7 minutes to play. Chelsea 1, Norwich 0 on TalkSport. It has been an underwhelming performance from the side currently third in the Premier League against their opponents who've already been relegated. And so as a result, they've just had to hang on at times in the second half. Now Barkley wide towards this near side, and Willian. Giroud waits in the centre. Willian comes in field again. Timo Pukki in pursuit, and it's James finding Barkley, who smartly breaks away from McLean into the area, but the challenge comes in from Lewis, and Norwich will clear, but it quickly comes back to James. Early cross into the penalty area, headed away initially by Aarons and then brought down by McLean, and Norwich will try and build from deep now with Lewis, who shrugs off Kovacic, clips it down the line. Ida tries to roll Rudiger. Both Rudiger and Ida go to ground. Both coaches appeal for the free kick, nothing given. And here is Barkley finding Jorginho. And Chelsea here having to really grind it out. Now Willian has James in support. Scored against Norwich last season for Wigan in the Championship. That's his most recent league goal.
Well, I'm sure he'll be delighted with their result tonight, won't he?
Yeah.
What a season he had at Wigan.
He was their player of the year, and he's been able to build on it here at Chelsea as Hudson-Odoi comes forward. Now Barkley, square towards James again. So much room now for Willian, who delivers the cross into the penalty area, and Giroud coming across the near post, got the touch but couldn't divert it towards goal.
That was a really well constructed move that time. across the box. Barkley, I think, has had a really good impact, been very sharp on the ball, manipulate it everywhere. Out to Reece James, just sucks it in, rolls it out to Willian, who then feeds it into the near post. Giroud gets across, but just can't quite divert it towards goal.
And that's Giroud's final touch. He will now be replaced by Tammy Abraham. Abraham scored his first goals of the season at Norwich. That was a really good game, and this one hasn't been a good game, to be brutally honest, but it's holding the interest now because it's only 1-0 into the final 5 minutes.
Well, they've got him to thank for the goal, and it looks like it's going to be the 3 points. Giroud just got in between the two centre halves, out muscle closer, which a lot of centre forwards have found hasn't been that hard this season. Antonio did it to him. Giroud tonight.
And here's a headline moment. Norwich aren't playing out. Giroud bangs it long down the centre, looking for Stiepermann, who doesn't win the header, but neither does Rudiger. Here is Azpilicueta on his left foot with a long ball forward. It's headed away by Godfrey. Stiepermann in the midfield, finding Rupp, who almost releases Timo Pukki down the centre, but it's cut up by Azpilicueta.
It's a terrible ball though from Rupp. I mean, he's got all that. He's got about 30 yards to hit the ball in between. Drops it short.
Chelsea give the ball away again. Stiepermann now looking forward to this near side, tries to play in Idar, but Chelsea win it back. And there's an opportunity for Kovacic. He had Abraham on the toes of closer on the edge of the area, but it's wide towards Willian again. 3.5 minutes to play on TalkSport. Chelsea 1, Norwich 0, and Chelsea have been unable to put this game away. Willian finding Barkley, maybe he can now. Left-footed shot from him is deflected off closer, loops high into the air, and Krul keeps it in play at the far post, and now finds Aarons. A long ball forward from him, but it's straight to Jorginho. He plays the 1-2 with Kovacic. James charging forward on the overlap down the right-hand side. Rudiger looks to use it. James comes in field to find Willian. Chelsea a bit more conservative now with 3 minutes on the clock, leading by a goal to 0.
Well, if I was Norwich, I would have gone long much earlier, put Stiepermann on earlier, put Ida on earlier, and you just look at how Chelsea have performed against those sort of sides.
Now James with a low cross into the penalty area, and nobody could get the touch. It bobbled 4 yards from goal, beyond everybody, and Norwich will clear, but they've given the ball away to Hudson-Odoi, and he has been fouled on the corner of the penalty area on the far side by Buendia. It's a yellow card for Emi Buendia, and it's a free kick for Chelsea.
Yeah, I don't think Rupp's coming off. He's obviously given the ball away 10 times too many.
And it's Josh Martin, the 18-year-old who came through the academy at Arsenal, who will replace him.
Well, just going back to, how Norwich played, if they'd had Stiepermann on and Ida, they might have gone long early. And look at how Chelsea have struggled against those sides, your Sheffield United, your Burnleys, conceding goals against those sort of physical teams.
Willian is over the free kick. Josh Martin will try and stretch Chelsea if he can in the moments that remain, but he and his teammates now have to defend. A free kick wide on the far side, the left. Willian's over it. He goes for goal, and it's beaten out at the near post by Krul.
Yeah, it's a good strike, wasn't it? Willian, he's got that ability. Short back lift, but he generates such power, doesn't he, on the ball? Around the wall, aim for the near post. Krul got across well and just parried it away.
We are ticking towards the 90th minute here on TalkSport. Chelsea only lead by a goal to 0. Norwich are heading for an 8th successive defeat. That will be a club record, but in a strange way, they will take a good deal from tonight. Now Rudiger, close down by Pukki. Jorginho, all the way back towards Kepa again. And Norwich are pressing very high up the field now. Rudiger goes back towards Kepa. And here is Zuma on the left. It's a long ball forward from him. Abraham does well to win it above Godfrey in the air. And it's Godfrey who got the final touch because Chelsea have a throw-in. And they are just looking to wind up the clock here. Frank Lampard, by far the more animated manager at this stage. Thrown in towards Abraham and then laid off again towards the run of Barkley. There will be 3 added minutes, and Norwich have won the ball back. Here is Stiepermann, and he's found Pukki down the right-hand side. Pukki meanders in field, and he was looking for the run of Idar, but he'd stayed where he was on the right, and as a result, Kepa is able to gather.
Well, Abraham just holds his hand up because the ball comes into him about 30 yards from goal. He tries a little one-touch layup, loses it. That's where he's got to make it stick this late in the game. Now that's game management as well, just helping your team out. You don't need to try anything fancy now. Just get hold of it as that centre forward.
Andy Goldstein and Jermaine Beckford taking your calls at the end of this game. 08717 22 3344. It's not been impressive from Chelsea, but they could be 4 points clear of Leicester and Manchester United before their games coming up later this week. Leicester at home to Sheffield United. Manchester United go to Crystal Palace. And Wolves are at Burnley, live on TalkSport 2 tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock with Newcastle against Spurs here on TalkSport. Now Rudiger for Chelsea, wide towards James on this near side, and Chelsea forced back towards Kepa again. And it's launched wide towards Azpilicueta into the path of Hudson-Odoi, and he does have runners off him now. It's back towards Azpilicueta. Hudson-Odoi makes the run over the top, but it's intercepted by Buendia. Now Aarons, short towards McLean. Norwich need to get the ball forward quickly. Here is Martin wearing number 56. He's got support from Ida, and Martin continues his run. He rides the challenge of Kovacic, but not that of Zuma. But now Kovacic is fouled by Martin, and it will be a free kick to Chelsea, and it's been poor from Chelsea.
Yeah, look, it hasn't been a great performance at all. Will Frank care? I guess he will, but at this stage it's probably points, not really.
You want to see signs, they'll go to Liverpool and Wolves and do something.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe just, I don't know, it could be accumulation of games, could be no crowd, could be the opponent. Obviously Norwich bottom, relegated. But, you look how West Ham approached the game against them, and you think, well, I don't know, just staying up, is there more on it than trying to get in the top 4? Certainly had more intensity in this game, more tempo to it.
Well, West Ham, right from the very start, sought a weakness at Norwich and really exploited it. Chelsea have been more patient, but they still lead. Final seconds of added time here. Abraham heads to the corner flag on the far side, which tells you all you need to know about the Chelsea mindset at the moment.
And that's much better. That's much better for him, because he does his job, wins a corner, is it a throw?
Blast on the whistle from John Moss, but it's not the final whistle. He's calling Adam Idar towards him and just having 1 or 2 words. But it's not been a good performance, but this could end up being a very good week for Chelsea. Their rivals have stumbled, and it's been a stumbling sort of performance here from Chelsea, but they are getting the job done as Willian and Abraham look to wind down the clock, and that's what they've done. Not impressive at all from Chelsea, but they are 4 points clear of the rest in the chase for 3rd and 4th place in the Premier League. It's a club record 8 successive defeats for Norwich, but in the final analysis they weren't too far behind Chelsea today. A poor spectacle overall, but Chelsea will just be grateful to have the points. Full time at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Norwich 0.